Welcome back. In this video we are with the Kia Sorento, and like all Kia Sorentos, it has rust. So in this video we are going to fix the rust problem on the rear arch of the Kia Sorento. So like I did on the previous side, it's the exact same. Unfortunately, the rust is far worse on this side than it was on the opposite side. So I'm just after finishing the job, but watch the video and see how did I get through it and how do we fix it, because the Kia Sorento and rust are not friends. Okay, and we're back with the Kia Sorento. So you open the door here, and yeah, you can see there's a lovely little rust hole just here. So we've hit it with a hammer and there's a few screwdrivers. We've made it worse, but obviously, like, it is bad anyway. So my plan is, we have the line here, we're going to cut it here, we're going to take out all of this section here. This is a plastic cover, so we're going to take off the plastic cover, and you can see roughly where I'm thinking about cutting it. And then over here it's quite bad as well. So we have a marked out where we're going to cut it, and we have a replacement panel. So I went down to breakers, and very kindly they said, yeah, work away with, take out the end grinder, you can cut it. And so I cut the panel out. Now it's not the best, but in a breaker's yard, when everything has been moved around with forklifts and teleporters, and really they don't care too much about the paneling, it's mostly about engines and stuff like that. Yeah, everything was a little bit dinted. So by the time I could cut it out, this is probably the best of them because they all rust in the same places. So yeah, that's going to be hopefully cut out and welded in there. It is a bit bent, but by the time I have it all welded, it'll be tapped in and it'll just come around. So originally I was thinking just make up the panel myself, like it's not that difficult. I just kind of thought, if I get the piece that it's already made, all I have to do is that you cut one out, weld the other one back in. And learning from the Marquin Golf when I did the front surround around the front window, it's way easier just to get a cut section than to make it up yourself. So yeah, this is like half the work, hopefully. Not totally sure whether I just cut the whole panel out, weld the whole panel back in, or keep bits of it and weld in bits of it like I was thinking of doing there, down here, but we'll see how we get on. Okay, so we're just going to have a quick look at it. Yeah, you can see there's a fairly big hole just here. There's a piece of this rubber padding, you can see it just in there. I think that's probably the cause of it, because what it's doing is when it gets wet, it then keeps the wet there for a long time. Obviously the Jeep's been inside the garage for a while, so it's dry, but I'm going to get rid of that padding. Anyway, I have to get rid of it if I'm going to weld it. Yeah, not sure yet what to do there. On this side here, obviously this is a generic design flaw, or else it's just a oopsie flaw, but there's two skins side by side. There's a hole here, obviously, and then there's a second skin put on top of it with, I don't know, what's that, 2 or 3 mil of a gap between the two skins. And obviously water just gets in here, comes all the way down and rots the whole thing out. And you can see my finger from the inside. So there's a dust cover here, but it's the one place the dust cover doesn't touch. It's just here, and obviously that's where the water gets in and it's rotted out. So when you go to buy this panel from the breakers, every single Kia Sorento has the rust in pretty much the same place. So they're all rusting about here or here or here, somewhere along the line. Even the cut panel I got, when we spin it around, like, it's not great. That's pretty much this rust hole here, is that in there. And then further down, it's down to rust, where this one here is bad as well. But like, this one is still a whole lot better than every single other panel that I saw in the breakers, because if they're not rotten, they've been hit by the loader and they're all damaged. So it was kind of like pick the best of a bad lot. So that nut there will hold on this side cover panel here, and I think it holds on that one there, or there was one there that broke off, but yeah, so that fits there. Yeah, so yeah, the plan is cut it out, weld the new panel back on as best I can. Have to get new sheet metal, we get new sheet metal, whatever. Paint, don't care for the paint, we just painted whatever colors I have. Hopefully pretty close to the same color, but whatever colors I have. Even that panel down there, I discovered it's a different color to this Jeep. So yeah, the two of them, they looked identical when I was cutting them out, and only now when I hold them up to each other, this is more of a blue, where that's more of a silver. Okay, so this is the price that just keeps on giving. So we cut this section here out, and it pretty much just fell apart as I was cutting out. So I think we've gotten back to good steel back there. Coming back up this way, we have the curve just here, and I've marked out my cut section, the maximum size of it, so we're inside the cut section. We should cut this bit here out, and you can see the rot had actually started to climb up there, but we've actually cut above the rot, so obviously now whatever we weld in will stop, it won't go any further. But there was still a bit more to go, so we cut this section here out, so that's the end of the rust there. But you can see it's after growing on the inside, so I'll probably have to go cut this big section out, or else just cut the whole panel out. On this side down here, that's where the rust was, and we cut that out, so that's obviously all now gone, and there has to be a bit more cut there still, but we've gotten a good bit back. But unfortunately there's another hole inside the second skin, so that's kind of the problem. I think dirt is coming up, wetting everything, and slowly rotting through, and then rotting through this as well, and there was a big sponge in there. That's it there. This giant sponge was actually shoved up in here. I think the actual idea of the sponge is to stop vibrations when you're driving, to stop the panels making noise basically. But all it does is it gathers up moisture, especially here in Ireland, gathers moisture and just keeps the water sitting there. So the sponge is definitely going to be gone because I can't weld it with it there. And what we're going to do is just make up a panel, weld it in here, have our cut panel, weld it in here roughly, weld another panel in here, and we're going to get a piece of steel and bring it down and fold it back around, and then weld our new panel into that and seam weld it all up and see if that works. Because yeah, it's getting pretty bad. So you can see it's pretty much just gone completely here. So here, what I'm going to do is come up this side, actually cut this out, and then I'll remake that in new steel. Okay, I definitely I think I just gone too far. Okay, I know I should be recording a little bit more than I am, but yeah, this is it. So all of this is gone. And all of this is gone. And you never wonder, like, there's so much stuff on the ground. Do you ever was wondering, have I literally just jumped too far into this project? So yeah, okay. So we're going to weld up a panel in here, weld up at the outside panel, weld up another inside panel here, an inside panel here, and then eventually the outside skin as well. So I think it's going okay. We're literally just cutting stuff out to eventually just get back to the good steel, because it's very difficult to find. So what I did find was there's this spray and glue, as that's the only definition I can come up with, and that sits there. So obviously then the water is coming into this hole here, it was running down the skin beside it, stopping at this sponge, and that's why all of this rotted out. So there was clay, there was dirt, there was everything in it, there was rust, and you can see the remains of it there. That's the outside skin. To be honest, I'm not going to be able to save the outside skin. It's just so badly gone, so I'm just going to remake it. I'm still going to use my cut panel for the outside piece, but anywhere underneath here it's just going to be new metal, because that's just the way it is. So, but yeah, it seems to be going pretty well. I'll try and update you a little bit more often, but that's the progress so far. So much rust. So obviously cut this little piece here back out again, cut this panel here out, and keep doing that. What I'm going to do is just stop here, weld all of this, I have this perfect, and then start in again. Otherwise I've just literally made the project just so massive, it's just going to be very daunting to tackle it. So I made up 2 panels for the inside skin. They're been bent, shaped, and welded all in. That's how it looks. Then I made up 4 more panels and finished welding it all out. Here's another view from the side. The panels that I've welded in look a little bit sideways, a little bit bent. That's only because I had to accommodate for the slope at which they were welded in. Next I hit the panels with a shot of primer to stop any rust. Okay, you just stopped me there right in the middle of this welding, and I've spot welded it just here along the way, and we're just offering up the panel to make sure that it fits correctly, and that the panel gaps are all correctly, and the seam line will follow all the way down. And if it's in correctly, then we'll seam weld it in. Okay, and that's it now, all spot welded into place. And when we come down here, the new lip that I welded in underneath, this skin here is just welded straight directly onto it. I didn't bother wrapping it around. So it actually made the job way easier. So we'll just spot weld it the whole way around and do the exact same thing. Panel's nice and tight on. So next thing is to fully seam weld it out. Before we fully seam weld it out, here's a view from the side of how it looks. Okay, finally now after a shitload of welding, it's all welded in. So, yep, welded in. And now the next thing is just to wire wheel it or use a flappy paddle on the angle grinder, knock down all the high spots, and then hit it with some primer and we're done. Woohoo! So yeah, as you can see, I welded all along the bottom. So that's trying to keep the water out. There's also meant to be a hole just, where's it gone? There. So there's meant to be a hole just there on the opposite side. And that goes through and there's a nut and bolt that you hold on the trim here. I've obviously done away with that because I think that's how the water's getting in. This lip here is also just folded around and then just spot welded. So now I have it seam welded and I got rid of the lip. So it's just spot welded straight on or seam welded straight onto that lip. And yeah, that isn't going to hopefully let in any more water. This half down here seems to be okay, so all of that is welded in. Obviously I had to cut back a different section here to get the second skin in to weld it up. And yeah, it looks pretty good. So yeah, next thing now is to get the flappy wheel on the angle grinder, knock down all the high spots, try and get it fairly level, and then we're going to hit it with some primer, maybe some Corrust first. Okay, and we're pretty much done now. So it's all been flattened and smoothened down. I have to leave a small little bit of a line just as proof that I've actually welded it because that's what they want for the retest. And yeah, looking pretty good. So I'm not really too worried about this end here because there's a plate going over it, so it's all going to be hidden. Just this one here, I just want to have it looking nice because obviously it's less work afterwards when we put the paint back onto it and body filler and everything. But yeah, I'm really happy how it turned out. So it's pretty much blended back into how the rest of the panel used to look, obviously without the rust. And yeah, that's it. So next job is I'm going to put some Corrust onto it just to fight any rust that's there. Then we're going to hit some primer and I think we're pretty much done. So I'll come back to you then. Okay, that's it now with the Corrust on it, so it's slowly eating into any exposed metal. And it'll put down a layer of protection there to stop any more rust from entering and getting into the metal. Yep, looking good so far. I'll just wait for that to dry and then on to the next job. Next I'm going to use some of this brush on seam sealer. Okay, just put a bit of seam sealer over all of the seams just up to here because that's all going to be covered anyway. This is all exposed just for the retest and now we're going to hit it with some primer. Yep, looks good. Okay, and we're pretty much done. So delighted with that. So we have the seam line here coming down, follows it all the way down. There's a nice curve to it. Everything looks pretty much legit, like it was always there. I know you can see my seam line where I welded it, but that has to be there because obviously for the retest they wanted to be sure that you actually did weld it and then just pack it with newspapers. So yeah, it's done correctly. And yeah, so it's going to sit like that. That's seam sealer on it. It takes I think a few hours for it to cure. So when it's cured, I'll then hit it with some primer again. But after that, it's pretty much done. The little clips for here, I have to go buy them because I broke them. They're one-time use only. They're like little anchors. They expand when you push them in. So yeah, can get them. But yeah, really happy how that turned out. Give you another view of it there. I really hate the seam line. Like if it was up to me, I would have had it just totally flushed and you couldn't see anything. But obviously they have to test it that you actually have done the work. And yeah, that's why you're only allowed to put it into primer just to stop it rusting. And they have to be able to see a weld line. So they're the rules and you can't beat the rules. So unfortunately that's the way it is. But yeah, really happy it turned out. Like it was definitely getting the cut panel was worth it. Getting a cut panel that didn't have rust in it would have been even better, but it is what it is because they seem to all rust just here and back here. So yeah, it looks a bit funny currently at the moment because there's a few different colors, but As soon as that's all hit with primer, and then when we, after the test, when we have everything, hello cat, when we have everything painted the one colour, it'll just look like it was always there. So really happy with that. So guys, if you like this video, give a thumbs up, subscribe over there, and as always guys, thanks for watching, see you later.